Welcome to Map It Marketing for small business owners who want to become more confident and capable in their marketing. I'm Rachel Klaver and I'm a small business owner just like you. I've learnt that there are so many different things that we are supposed to do all the time. And trying to work it all out is, quite frankly, often very confusing. In this podcast, we're going to explore what those things are and whether you need to pay attention to them. Ready? Let's get started. Some people start their business with a huge PR campaign and lots of marketing budget. And others start their business selling on a duvet in a Tauranga market, selling a product that they've made themselves and hoping they're going to make enough to be able to sell some more the following week. This is exactly where Cherie Metcalfe started 5 years ago, when she decided that she did not want to return back to her hospo job in terms of chefing all days, the hours, and late at night with kids, and instead wanted to come and build a business that she could run around more child-friendly hours. Little did she know that selling at that market would lead to 5 years down the track, having a building which was specifically for her business, 12 employees, and shipping out nationwide, both direct to consumers and also to stockists all over the place. Her products are beautiful. They're products that people want to use. But most importantly, Cherie built her business out of sheer grit and determination to really serve her customers. She is well known on Instagram for being someone who is easily approachable, who loves listening and sharing how people use her products, who have rewarded people who are major fans with helping them create recipes and then paying for it as part of her Pepper Me Club. I love her integrity. I love her commitment to her people, not just her employees, but also to the people that choose to follow her and buy her products. She's amazingly inspiring when it comes to seeing just what a business person can do when they put the client front and center and sees that they need to communicate with them using the power of social media. I'm really looking forward to having you learn from her as she talks through her commitment to her marketing, to building a community, and what's incredible about Cherie is she has done it with all organic marketing. There's barely been any paid marketing used to promote her business. She has worked damn hard, and I would hope that this would be motivation to you just as much as it was to me when I listened to her as we talked. If you'd like to talk about any of the things that we talk about in the Map It Marketing podcast today, episode 20, you can come and do that in our Facebook group, Map It Marketing, ask questions, and also get other marketing support. But for now, let's listen to Cherie. Welcome to Map It Marketing. This is episode 20, and I'm delighted to have Cherie Metcalfe with us today. She owns a business called Pepper Me, and I do love a little bit of her man grind, I've got to admit. I probably said that in the intro. I am really looking forward to talking to Cherie because I had never talked to her until 5 minutes before this podcast started, but I've heard a lot about her. I've heard about her via Instagram stories and people just literally telling me in the street how amazing her business is and her brand and her products. So I'm very excited about today. Before we're going to jump in, I'm going to get Cherie just to introduce herself briefly. She has said that she hates talking about herself but likes talking about her marketing. So we'll see how many she can manage to get past the 15-second mark on the About Us stuff. But I would love it if you could come and join our group, Map It Marketing, on Facebook. If you want to talk about anything in this group today, it's my little community, which is not as exciting as Cherie's community, but I love it anyway, and it's my favorite part of the internet. All right, Cherie, I would love it if you would just briefly explain to us a little bit about you, your background, and yourself, because you own more than one business, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Just crazy lady.
Serial entrepreneur now.
So tell us
I love it.
About you and how you got started.
Oh, okay, so I'm Cherie Metcalfe. I'm 32. I started Pepper Me 5 years ago this month, and we started as a very small, well, it was a market stall, and I always say me, but it was very much just me. So it was me at my market stall selling salts, and that was 5 years ago. So it's a pretty cool backstory. I never had any money to put into the business, and every dollar I've put into the business, I've earned from selling these salts off a duvet cover on a table at the market stall. And then I've just grown sort of, I guess, reasonably quickly, but also at quite a steady pace. with Pepper Me. So I own Pepper Me, and then we started a side business called Pepper Me Club, which is our recipe hub, it is like a community, which is something that's really important, I guess, to all my marketing. And the Pepper Me Club is a subscription website. We have fresh content going up every day. We make recipes, we make meal plans, and we basically teach people how to use Pepper Me products. And then about 2.5 years ago, we launched Kitco, which is our cast iron enamel cookware range. And I guess everything I do is part of a greater aim to connect people with food. I love people and I love food, and that's what I do, really. So
I love that it's all tied together. And I am in awe of the fact that you can create that content every day, or have it at least published every day. Because can you schedule it in, or are you literally going and posting it every day?
I schedule my posts now. This is a recent thing. I've just started having a monthly photo shoot for all the brands. Yes. And we'll try and it's just my favorite time of the month, because I just make the photographer crazy. She loves it, because I'm like, right, we've got 4 brands. We need content for every day of the month for all 4 brands. And I want nice photos of me and the kids and everything there. Awesome. We go crazy. And then I load all those posts up for all the brands. It takes me probably 2 days. And then that's the posts taken care of. And then I do my stories every day. So
see, I think this is one of the things. I interviewed a guy called Lucas O'Keefe, who's actually in the podcast after you, and he's built a community of 160,000 followers in 6 months. And you and him are telling me the same thing, because a lot of people want what you have. Like, you have grown in 5 years. You have actually grown this amazing, integrated, and a community that pushes out your name to other people naturally. But you're putting in daily hard work.
Very much so. And it's quite an interesting discussion to have, especially now with people really have just taken against influencers, which I find quite interesting. I'm like, how do you not see that this is their work? You know, yes. Do you know how long those videos and TikToks and reels take so long to make? Why should they not be paid for them? But I guess it's not an argument I want to take part in, because I understand both sides of the stories. I don't do much influencing, but I guess I'm my own influencer, so I sell my own stuff. And yeah, I do understand how hard it is.
Natural influencers, like influencers are also people. Like, I know for me, I remember I use a particular product, and I remember they had this big influencer, and she was talking about it, and I commented underneath and said, "Oh, I love this product. I use it all the time." And about 8 of my friends said on that post, "Oh, if you use it, I'll use it." And they didn't even notice the influencer that was way more famous or interesting than me. Yeah. And I think that's one of the secrets for you, isn't it? You have a groundswell of people who love you.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. And I guess that is part of what I've built. And I think the key to it, just driving straight with my secret, is that I share my failures with everyone, and I have from day one, because people actually don't only want to see the wins. If they're riding the roller coaster with you and you're vulnerable and you're showing that's when people connect with you on another level, and they learn to trust you, and they actually want you to succeed. They're like, oh my gosh, there she is. She's working her ass off. She's fixing these problems. She's treating her people well. She's struggling with mum guilt because she's not at home enough. She's, got all this other stuff going on. I want her to succeed. I want to support her business. I love her products. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to tell my mum about them. I'm going to tell my sister about them. I'm going to buy them for Christmas presents. And that just grows like a beautiful bloom, I guess.
I think that one of the things that do make, you've got beautiful packaging. You've really thought about the brand. The product is really good. Like, I'm a cook, and I have children. Honestly, we have 15 meals that we can cook that everybody likes. Like, it's just the most frustrating thing in my life. But with those meals, put man rub on anything and everyone eats it. Like, it's just it's like a magic condiment I used to use it before my kid was not vegetarian anymore. I didn't tell her it had chicken in it. And she'd be like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And I'd be like, I know, it's this magical thing. but I think that, like, you've done really well on that. Did you get help with the naming and the branding side of your product, or was that just you as well?
So when we started, it was me sitting around. I had a 3-month-old baby, and I was just like, hey, I need to make some money to contribute to the household in some way. I can't go back to work as a chef because there's no way I can work, that many hours with a little baby. I thought, what can I do? with my skill set, which is very limited. All I know how to do is cook. So I started making the salts, and I was with my brother. I was very lucky to have him, who he had a really techie background. So I said, can you make me a logo? It was all I needed. Can you make me a logo? I'm going to call it Pepper Me. That's my daughter's name. And I'll print some stickers. Look, I've found some little bags. I'll mix up salts, take them to the markets. And it was as simple as that. And I guess every time you make a little bit of money, you put it back in and you make it better and better and better. But that we've been through 3 rebrands in 5 years before we got it looking good, because at the start it was so raw. I'm not going to say bad, but it was so raw. Yeah. And it's amazing now. Now we have beautiful packaging, but the product's the same, and it's always been an amazing product.
Because I do think I was actually thinking maybe I should share with people at some point my original Identify logo, because it was done on Canva, which is freakingly shocking. Okay, so you started back then, which I think is amazing. And the Pepper Me clubs, one of the things, was that a paid thing right from the start?
Pepper Me Club was, because what we wanted to do was to support our people who loved our products, who were really good at creating recipes, and I wanted to pay them for content. I didn't want to pay them for influencing. I knew that their content was valuable, and they all had young kids, and they were all wanting to make a buck at home. And obviously this is something I feel deeply in my soul. And I'm like, how can I bring these people into my community and make sure they're getting something out of this as well? So we started with 5 contributors, and we do like chop and change them a little bit, because I want to keep fresh people coming in and guest contributors and things like that. But I wanted to pay them for the content. So we pay $150 to $200 for a recipe, and that needs to be paid for somehow. So we've always charged $5, and some people are like, oh, it's way too cheap. And some people don't like paying for recipes, because you can get loads of free recipes everywhere. But basically we're just supporting other people in the Pepper Me community to be a part of it.
I feel, for me, as someone who used to be a freelance writer and influencer before it was cool, to me, that's such a sign of integrity on your part. Like, I always believe if you've got a business and you're paying other people that are contributing to grow that business, that to me is a sign of immense integrity. You're not going out and saying, oh, you love it, cool, give us this recipe and we'll give you a shout out for saying thank you. Like, you're actually feeding them for the effort that they've put into it. And you just want to put more effort in, right? If someone does that, you're going to spend more time doing nicer photos and plating it up nicely as well.
Yeah, totally. And I think, the people who don't understand it and they don't want to pay it, like, don't pay it. That's all good. It doesn't bother me. Off you go.
Yes.
You either want to be part of something cool, or you don't. It's $5 a month. That's a coffee. Go for it. So I don't push it super hard. I don't even talk about it that often, the club.
No.
So we've got a really good base of customers who are on there and love it. And honestly, they do. They tell their friends, and that's what makes people sign up. It's not me promoting it that's going to get more people on. But once a month I'll say, cool, here's what's new on the club, here's what's happening. We send out an EDM with what new things are happening. It's also really good when we bring out new Pepper Me products, that we've got 6 or 7 people who can go and write us a couple of recipes for each of these products, and then we're like, cool, this is what you're going to do with your new product if you're stuck for ideas. So really, they feed each other really well. Yeah.
I actually buy your product from Frankie's Deli in Manly, near where I live. Did you've obviously got some retail stores as well. Did you have to alter your pricing when you went to that stage, or had you already? Chefs are really good at pricing food generally, because you have to, for restaurants, work that out. Had you worked out a retail price right from the start, or did you have to make those changes before you went into retail?
Yeah, this is my biggest learning, I'd say, because I'm really good at pricing food, but I was never any good at taking my time into account, and packaging, labels, people I might have to get to help me ship things like that. So what I'd done is I'd bought my salts, got my containers, got my stickers, and I knew the cost of the product, and I just doubled it, and I was like, cool, that's going to make me money. But I was very lucky, and I'll tell you what, I was very lucky in that. So I started buying my salt from Gilmore's in 500-gram bags. Then I started buying it in 5-kilo bags. And then I started buying it in 20-kilo bags. And now I buy it by the ton. So every time I grow, my margins grow. So I've never had to raise the price. The price is the same as it was on the first day we launched it, because I was lucky enough to build that margin myself. So that was like a natural learning, but obviously now I know the formula. That doesn't work. That doesn't that doesn't pay staff, that doesn't pay electricity, that doesn't pay power, that doesn't pay your ACC levies and all the other shit that comes along with it that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
But the margins did build themselves in, so I was lucky on that one.
Because it is, I think that is the hardest shift, is because my daughter's thinking about doing some jewelry, and she said, is wholesale count your time? And I was like, yeah, wholesale has to count your time. It doesn't count just your cost of making of things, because like you say, it's okay when you've got a few orders and you're shipping them at home and you're doing it kind of in the evening. But when you're having to pay someone else to do it, it becomes a lot more complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. Yeah. And then you start getting, I remember getting sent my first ACC bill and I was like, sorry, what? Excuse me?
Up to the system, right?
Yeah. I got one yesterday. I'm still saying, sorry, what? What? Yeah.
And then we felt we had to pay our first provincial tax bill. It was like, my gosh.
And then, so you're paying your GST and then you get it and you're like, what, there's more tax? But I'm already paying that. Oh, no. Oh, okay, cool. We've got more types. Yes, I had no idea about any of that stuff, any of it at all. But I do now.
Do you have a team now, or do you use part-timers or contractors? Like how have you functioned that so that you can still be a mum? I have mum guilt too, and my youngest is 15. I think we always have it. But like, how do you manage that kind of flow so you can actually breathe a couple of times?
So I have 12 full-time staff now, and I've probably got 6 part-timers. We do get up over 20 around Christmas time. We've just moved into a brand new premises, which is an absolute game changer for us because, like I said, we've always grown slowly and steadily. So we moved into a little warehouse and then a bigger warehouse, and then we took over the warehouse next door, and then we took on a warehouse around the corner. So we had our wholesale department, our dispatch department, and our production all in completely different places, and it's just the way I work, isn't it? Slow and steady, but to be now under one roof, our production capacity is just tripled instantly. Our dispatch capacity the same. We're shipping 3 times faster, so it's all quite magical.
That's an incredible journey in 5 years. Is that what you thought would happen?
No, absolutely not. No.
You didn't have like a 5-year plan of going, I want to be in this warehouse with staff and...
No, and I still don't. I know I'm not supposed to say that. No, all I wanted to do was make a couple $100 to help my family a week so that I didn't have to get a job. That was my aim.
You really don't have to get the job now, right?
Yeah. No, I'm all good now. But I did. I actually had to go out. It took a year before I could take anything back from Pepper Me, so I got a job at Pepper's daycare. So I used to work my sort of 9 till 3 cooking for toddlers, which is like a nightmare pretty much.
Yeah, lots of mash.
Lots of mash that they don't eat. And then I'd come home, I'd make all the products myself, package them all myself, send them all myself, and then take them up, drop them at the post office and things like that. So it was really I really tapped away at it for a long time before I got any traction. But I just love it, and I still love it, and I loved it back then. So, I had the willpower to keep going.
You use your kids in your photo shoots. I've got teens who now have social media contracts with me where I'm not allowed to show them and things like that. Do you think as they grow that's going to change a little bit, or do you feel like your kids are going to stay on board with being involved in the photo shoots?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm a lot more careful with Pepper now. I think everyone thinks that Kit's my favourite, so I just show him all the time. But the fact is that I'm just a lot more respectful for her, because if she doesn't want to be there or she's not volunteering, I'm not going to show her, and that's her choice. So I totally don't push it. But she did come up and tell me she wants to be a YouTuber for a job. So every time I try and make a YouTube with her, she goes all shy. So
you can make her do the kids' recipes. You can say you can be a YouTuber as long as you're using Pepper Me.
Yeah, I mean, I try and get them up baking with me and things like that. But yeah, I think once they get past that kind of toddler stage, it's a little bit of a different thing. Yeah, so I try and definitely it's up to them. So we'll see what they
do you still love, because it's your job, do you still love cooking? Is it something you actually really love, or is it very much a job?
No, I love cooking. I'll always love cooking, I think. It's my favourite part of the day.
That is so nice. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I quite happily cook all day, but I've got to go and pay bills and call the bank and do all that boring stuff. But
I guess that's what's cool about doing the photo shoot, though, isn't it? You have 2 days of bliss.
Yeah, I do. And I've started making my staff lunch every day. So that's been great. Like, I've got all these people to feed. I've got a great new kitchen to cook in, and I can just sort of make whatever I want and pop it on the table, and we have a big family meal, and I love it. That feeds my soul, and it feeds them literally and figuratively as well. So,
man, I think everyone's going to want to come and work for you now. So let's talk about your community. The story that I heard, which I talked to you about before this podcast started, was I heard this story about having some butters that you sold via Instagram, and you sold them really fast. Do you know, when I told you that, did you know what that story was about, or do you have a similar one where you've used your Instagram stories to sell products that you've kind of had a lot of, or had a new product?
Yeah, I do it all the time. It's really the main way I sell things is Instagram stories, because people are really engaged with what I'm doing. I've put the time and effort into cooking, showing people what I do, letting them get to know my family, sharing moments of my day with them. So they come, they show up and they watch, and I show up and I provide content, and they connected to me. They want to support me. So when I guess teach them about a product and get everyone excited about a new product, we release it, and it usually sells really well. The butter's a little bit different. So the thing I learned with the butter is when people can't have something, they really, really want it. So rather than making it a product I have all the time, because it's a pain to make, it destroys the kitchen, it destroys the staff. So we do it 2 or 3 times a year in the winter, and we'll make a big batch. We'll put it online. That's all there is. Wow. And they know they have to get in there quickly or it's gone. And I think everyone's quite used to that hustle. They have to hustle to get those products. And I feel like they enjoy it, They enjoy that, like, adrenaline rush of, like, refreshing at 7 o'clock, refresh, and then they get it, and they're like, yes, I got it.
They can share on Instagram, I got some.
Yeah, and they do. And then they'll get hundreds of people sharing it. They've got the butters, and it just naturally feeds into this. I mean, it's a beautiful thing for me. I love it. I have to put my weighted blanket on when I do launches because I get too hyped up. But it's great, it makes
you like sitting there watching them with a weighted blanket on, doing slow breathing.
We have to have a cup of chamomile tea in my weighted blanket.
Oh, I love that so much. I should have brought my weighted blanket into the office today. Actually, I'm having an anxiety day for no reason. And I was like, I need to have something. I should have brought the weighted blanket. That would have been a good idea. So, I mean, I love that you use that and you share it. Do you feel, are you using other forms do you have an email list?
Yeah, we do now. We only started about a year ago, though, to be honest.
Oh.
Yeah, because, I mean, to be honest, no, I didn't need it. But the other thing is I go to my desk every morning and give 20 emails and I just put them straight in the bin. I really do.
Ironic, the email just came in.
Yeah, that's another one. I'm thinking, why should I, I don't want to be that annoying person. And I know for a fact if I put a story, it's going to get 12,000 views on Instagram. 12,000 people are going to watch that. If I send out an email to my database, only 8% of people are going to open it. But it is a good way to convey information that is necessary, or if we try and put the effort into the content, like say on Easter weekend, I'm thinking, cool, let's send people 3 or 4 recipes that they're going to want to make for Easter weekend, that's giving them something to open their email for, to make them think, oh, this is a great email, this is handy, this is actually providing me with something I might need, rather than just sales all the time, I guess, is what I try and do with it. So we'll, try and utilize those, events or whatever, different, was it Bastille Day the other day, things like that.
Yes.
And try and theme them, give them recipes, talk about the products that might work with those recipes, but try and make it good content as well is important to me.
I always say, and so I'm going to, I love email. There are people I love, there's a couple of dress designers that I follow who will send me emails more than once a day, and I will open them at least once a day. And so I love that you don't need it, because I think that's awesome. But I'm going to encourage you that I always say it's not your job to decide whether you're a lover or a stalker. You feel like you're stalking them by sending the email, but they are in love with you. The ones that are in love with you will open it. So every time you send them an email, they feel like it's a love letter. That's not your call. And I think you probably would find if you did more, you sound like you don't need it. But if you want to ever go any further, if you did more, you would get that lift. We do.
We do now, and we're doing them quite regularly now, and we're doing them for the club and we're doing them for Kitco. But I think that's why I didn't for so long. But now it is definitely a regular part of what we do. And you're right, up to them whether or not it gets utilised or not. But that is something we do, and it's very cheap marketing too, isn't it? So I mean, Instagram's generally free for me, and aside from time, and that, yeah.
And are you doing paid ads as well? Do you do paid ads?
We've just started doing a couple on Facebook, mainly boosting posts, and my brother runs that, so he's just testing a few things with it. I think we're putting about $1,000 a month into it, which I think in the scheme of things is probably not much. A
lot of my little clients go, but I agree with you. It's not. And
yeah, but I mean, you're not getting, you don't get a whole heap for that, but it's a lot for me for my marketing budget too. My marketing budget's only a couple of grand. So, but I mean, it's not a huge budget for ads, I guess, like what big massive companies are using. But we get a return on it. It's okay.
Because I think for you, like the power of your information, the power of what you do is that strong organic. And then that is something that is really powerful. So in terms of time, like we talked about how you do, you do a lot of stuff in terms of the Pepper Me Club by putting things on every day and you're sketching those posts. But how much time a day do you think you'd spend interacting with your community now? Do you do it like when you're sitting in the car, or do you have a space? Like where do you do your interactions?
It's all the time, because if I don't do it, when I do open it, it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So I don't like to open it to hundreds because it feels like, so I do try and check it constantly. But I'm going to be honest, I'm really bad at giving an in-depth reply. I'm a serial double tapper and sending a heart if it's like a, hey, that's cool, like, which is maybe my downfall. But if it's a question, I'll always try and answer it, make sure that I'm responding in some way. But it's been brought up a few times. Maybe I should have someone help me with that side of things and go on and send more messages. But I do feel like that's quite inauthentic when it's very much my face on there, and I want to be the person.
The last thing that you would ever want to outsource.
That's exactly right. So I'm ticking along with it, and hopefully getting to most people at some point. Yeah, but I do it all the time, and then I'll lie in bed for an hour at the end of the night and do it. But if I'm sitting in my car or at my desk, I'll check it every half an hour.
So how much, besides the fact you've got your help from your brother, what other marketing help are you getting, and the photography? Are you still writing all your own content?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think that's powerful to me, because I teach that the business owner has the most powerful voice. And you've got that.
So what we've just done as we moved into the new building, we put a new structure in place because I was finding everything getting a bit overwhelming and I felt like I actually wasn't achieving anything ever. So what I've done is I've made myself the CEO of the business 2 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, I do my CEO stuff. I do my big jobs. I do my forward planning. I'm like looking at my reports, all that sort of stuff. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I put my marketing hat on and I do my marketing job. So that's how we've kind of split it up.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. On Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I don't want to hear about your complaints about the other staff. I don't want anyone coming to me with their issues. I just want to do my job. So yeah.
I have exactly the same. Mondays is my team day. That's the day. If you send me emails during the week that should have been brought up on Monday, they don't get seen again until Monday. Like not little, not urgent, like, hey, I've broken my leg and I can't come in tomorrow. But like things that we could have covered. So Monday is that day for me. Friday is my podcast day. And I am lucky enough at the moment to take a day off because I'm writing a book. And so I've got that day. But having that, and then 2 days of clients. And I agree with you. If you're growing a team or you've got that, for you to own the marketing, you can't keep on doing it at 5 o'clock in the morning or on Saturday, because as a mum, you're missing out on mum time as well, or your time.
Yeah. This way, doing the cooking at work during the day has actually just changed my whole life, because what I was doing is working all day, coming home, getting the kids, and then trying to get dinner ready and film it with two after school kids it's a nightmare. And then I had all this food that my children also wouldn't eat. And it's like banging your head against a brick wall. It's like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? And you feel like you have to do it. where it's great. If I'm at work, I've got a clear kitchen, a clear headspace, no one's around me, and I know I'm going to have 10 hungry people in a couple of hours. It's fantastic. So yeah, that's been a game changer for me.
If you were talking to someone who was selling at markets like I think the growth you've had is huge and far beyond what you expected, but what a lot of other people would necessarily have as their plan. Well, you didn't plan it either. Like, you're amazing. But if you were talking to someone who was just starting out and was wanting to build that community, what would you recommend to them? Like, if in terms of that, getting that interaction on stories and building that, what would you recommend?
I like to use the line "read the room" quite a bit. I think that's where people miss the mark sometimes. Make sure your content, well, if we're talking about Instagram, I guess that's what I know most about. Make sure it's content that people want to see, and you can really tell quite instantly. Do some polls. You can ask these people what they want to see, and then listen to them. Don't be like, well, I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do it. If you're there to sell stuff, you've got to do what you want to do, but also give the people what they want to see so that they engage with it. Make it engaging. Give them something to take away from it, or something that they can be a part of, I guess. And it's amazing what will spark a really in-depth connection with people. For me, sometimes it's as simple as coming home and be like, oh, I had a really hard day today. I feel like I've failed as a mum doing this. And, because so many people feel that on such a deep level, it gives you that connection. But sometimes it's like, oh, I just got this beautiful new linen duvet cover, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, love it, going to buy one, great. But like the fact that I've sort of saved up and bought it and chose it and put it in the bedroom, and everyone's like, oh, you should do this, get this colour pillowcases. Oh, I really like that. Oh, this might go nicely with it. So could be anything from this end of the scale to the other end, but you want to make sure that this is something that people want to see, I guess.
I really like that, and that's challenged me a bit because I'm a really chatty person, but I'm actually really private, and I find it quite hard to kind of do that. But I was thinking, I put a picture of my skirt on my personal profile stories, and it went off, and all these people have commented, and I'm like, I don't know why I didn't put that on my business one, because actually half of them follow me anyway, but they would have loved it. But it's challenging me to go, actually, it doesn't harm me to do that sort of thing. I don't have to just be talking about knowledgeable stuff all the time.
Yeah, it is a bit different, and I guess I to be honest, I share a lot less now than I did when I first started, because I mean, all my suppliers watch my stories. I used to be able to get away with anything, but now I don't get away with much. So I do definitely do monitor a little bit and make sure that it's not going to
relatively professional.
Anyone. Yeah. I'll be honest, I've had a few cease and desists in the last few months. So I've given up influencing for other brands. I've got a personal Instagram as well, and I think, cool, if there's anything I want to share, or if it's like something cool, or I want to help people out, I'll do it on that page. And then everything on Pepper Me is then organic. There's no questioning. When they bring in these new ad rules,
it's too hard.
Well, I understand it, and I respect it, and I do think that it needs to be in place. But what it did is it turned the community into the ad police, and I keep getting reported. I would have been reported so many times for stuff that I have paid for with my own money.
That you fell in love with. Yeah. I have to always put not an ad.
I do, and I put it in bloody bold all over the whole screen. But it's frustrating because I've kept getting investigated from, and I have to keep going back to them and saying, I paid for that. Here's my receipt.
God. I'm not great at taking receipts. It seems like a whole lot of admin you've got to go through.
Oh, well, that's kind of why I've stopped doing so much, because I used to, when we bought the house and when I was buying stuff, I used to be like, oh, I've got this great coffee table, bought this from here, it's going to look really cool here. People love seeing stuff like that, but it has changed the culture a little bit now, where they do think you've been gifted it, and then they feel like you're trying to trick them or something by not putting ad, where it's, for me, it's not the case. For other people, that may be what's happening, but it's certainly not in my I don't need to sell the coffee table. I don't care. I just know I'm going to get asked 100 times where it's from.
Yeah, I remember talking to Matilda Rice, Matilda Green, a few months ago, because she posted a picture, and I said to her, oh my gosh, because she said then follow up with like, yes, the colour of my door is such and such. Yes, my top is such and such. Yes, my thing. And I said, do you ever get sick of that? And she goes, no, I think it's really lovely. And she said, maybe the colour of the door was a bit extreme, but besides that, it's a hard thing. Like there's this constant thing. So actually on influencers, have you used paid influencers? Did you use them as part of the growing of the brand, or did you just allow the word of mouth to go naturally?
Look, I was really lucky when I started 5 years ago that influencing was just beginning to be a thing, and paying for stuff wasn't really a thing. So I sent a lot of free product out and I got a lot of return for that. And I wouldn't have a business if it wasn't for that, I'm going to be honest. If I'd been trying to start a business today and approaching people and they're saying, oh, cool, it's $500 a post, I've got $300 to my name, there's no way I'm going to pay you for a post. Yeah. I probably wouldn't have a business now. So I really did hit that sweet spot with that. I'm sure there's other ways around it, but I was very lucky. And also lucky in the way that influencers genuinely loved the product. So I'd send it to them and then they'd be tagging it every day for a year. They loved it. They come back and buy it. So paying is not something that I've done. I don't think I've ever paid for a post, but like I said, I pay for recipe content. Mm-hmm. So when people who are doing recipes for me use a product, they do tag ad. And maybe it may look like I'm paying for influencing when I'm not. I pay for content, whether or not that's a distinct difference or not. It is to me, because
I used to be a freelance writer. To me, that's them showing their work in a published form. So it isn't an ad, but I do also think it probably protects both of you by doing that.
Pretty much.
Relationship.
That's fine. But no, I don't pay people to post about Pepper and Me. No.
And I think that is magic. And I really love that you've acknowledged that it has changed, because I was part of the early days where I just got, I think I spent a year not being able to pay my rent, but having every luxury item that's possible to females, like I remember saying, I said to my daughters the other day, I said, one year I gave everyone expensive perfume and makeup for Christmas because I got paid like in a big cardboard box of all this amazing makeup that was like, the size of my car, but I couldn't afford to pay my rent.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're going to get attacked if you try and sell it as well.
It's like, hey, that was a gift.
Yeah. No, it's a funny thing. And then, people's expectations are all over the place as well. They'll often say, oh, can I send you this? And then they'll tell you, right, what I'd like 4 posts. I'd like 6 stories. I'd like this, and this. And I'm like, it's a $15 item, mate.
No, it's not enough. It's not worth it. So, I think your story is amazing. I find you incredibly inspiring in what you're doing. If people are wanting to find your products and become part of the community, how would they find you? Like, how would they come and do that? Oh, and before we do that, can you also tell us about your recipe book? Because I think I actually have to buy this.
Oh, the book, yeah, Keepers. So Keepers came out in April, and that's my first book. It's been a huge success for me. I guess it was 2 years of work and you don't know what you're going to get in return for it. It's not a money maker, but it got to number 3 on the bestsellers list, and it's just been named in the Whitcool's top 100 for the year. So I'm stoked. I'm really happy with it. I'm so proud to have something that like physical, like it's a physical achievement almost, and I'm really stoked with it. So that's in all good bookshops or online.
I'm going to get it for my mum because she's a food writer. She's 76 and started being a food writer when she was 70.
Oh, that's so cool. That's what I'm going to do when I'm finished as well. I love it. I love food writing. That'd be my dream job to be a restaurant.
Awesome. You should, yeah.
I want to, yeah. And we're pepperandme.co.nz. We have a stockist map online. So we've got 200 stockists around the country. If you're looking to go and have a look in store, it's probably easiest to jump on the map because we have some really weird and wacky and wonderful suppliers who are sort of dotted all over the show. We've just started supplying some of the new worlds, so we're in a few new worlds in the country. But yeah,
you got those margins right?
Yeah, we got there in the end. And Kitco's our cookware, kitco.co.nz, And we are about to launch a new business on Monday, which is our carbon steel knives. So Cane and Abel, well, it'll be out by the time the podcast comes out. caneandabelknives.co.nz.
Cane and Abel knives. That sounds a little bit biblical to me.
It is. It's a biblical story. I'm not supposed to tell this story, but I'm going to tell you. So it's my business with my brother, and Cain and Abel's a Bible story about Cain murders Abel.
Yeah.
And it's quite, I've used quite a dark humour throughout the whole brand.
I love this. This is fantastic. Instead of the smutty humour of Pepper and Me, we've got dark humour.
Dark humour, and my brother's very much the light one. His son's name's Abel, and he's not thrilled about my dark humour. So the sibling rivalry is rife throughout the...
I love it. I think it's awesome.
There's a few cheeky sort of passages that we've pulled from the Cain and Abel story that are on the packaging and things, and I just love it. Like we put "Follow me to the field," or "Let us go out to the field" is the line that Cain says to Abel before he murders him. We've put it on the box.
I'm loving this. My daughter's partner loves knives and also loves Bible references, so I'm feeling that might be the Christmas present for him.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, so we're hoping for a great response to these knives. They're beautiful.
Excellent. Make sure you send me a link to that one and I'll pop it on the show notes so we've got all the little places you can shop. I will say about your products, I have bought lots of them and I haven't found one that I didn't like yet.
Excellent.
Like they're all amazing and they're all on high rotate. And I do think you make, like for me, as I love cooking, but I'm often busy and tired at the end of the day, your products have made it possible for me to actually create something that actually tastes really great with very minimal effort. And I think that is the magic of your products.
That is, and that's the whole aim of the business, to connect people with food, get them a little bit excited about, even if it's just mince and veg or making a couple of veg, you can make it really good. You can make it taste amazing.
That's amazing.
Simple. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cherie, for being part of this. I'm going to, at the end of every episode, I do like a little outro where I talk about what our listeners can do in terms of things I can suggest them to. I'm going to talk to them about like being more real in your Instagram stories. That's something you've challenged me on today, and thank you for that. But I also just want to congratulate you because I talk to lots of business owners and I just feel you've done all that hard work, and to see it rewarded and your growth is just exceptional. And if someone hasn't told you this week, you're freaking amazing.
Thank you so much.
But I don't say it on a podcast. Oopsie-daisy.
Thank you. That's lovely.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being part of Map It Marketing. It's been a delight.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait to share it. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is amazing how much you can fit into 5 years, and Cherie has worked so hard to grow her businesses together. One of the things that I felt we should pick up in terms of our own marketing, and something that I really felt when I was listening to Cherie, was that courage to be a bit more personable and share a bit more of your personal life. I have quite strong boundaries around what I share, not because I'm not open as a book, but because I have an introverted family. I don't feel like me showing up on social media means that I have a right to then share them on social media. But it has encouraged me to share a bit more about myself and my own interests, possibly realizing that I'm a bit more boring than everyone thinks I am. But it has helped me to do that. And since doing that, since having my podcast interview with Cherie a few weeks ago, I have actually found that my engagement has gone up on my social media. It just shows you that people do get very invested in us as people when we're a business owner, and sharing a bit of that helps stop it feeling like it's a salesy thing every time they're coming onto your social media. Another thing that I'd like to pick up from here is the importance of growing that organic marketing before you jump into everything else. Quite often people will come to us and ask us to set up Facebook ads, proper Facebook ads, not the boosted kind, and also email marketing, again, proper email marketing with email automation beyond just occasional monthly emails. And I will often say we're not quite ready for it yet. Using the organic marketing first and building a base of that is the very best gift you can give your business. And it does take time, effort, and consistency. So if you're wanting to grow your business, and particularly if you've got an e-commerce business, it's so important to get that organic growth growing before you worry about adding on the other bits, because those bits will be impacted with that. We had an episode with Joe Murphy a few months back, which was around what to do before spending a cent on Facebook ads. I'd encourage you to listen to that again, because that's a really useful one to talk through that. And I would also encourage you to listen to next week's podcast because it is with Lucas O'Keefe, who has managed to grow his Instagram following to over 160,000 in just a few months by using the power of community and building a relationship with the people that he's following. He is doing it as his full-time job, which most of us don't get to do, but it's well worth a listen. And like always, if you'd like to talk about some of the things that come through this, I would love it if you came and be part of our group, Map It Marketing, on Facebook. And if you've loved this podcast, please do rate and review it because it really helps other people listen and enjoy too. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in today to Map It Marketing with me, Rachel Klaver. Make sure you hit subscribe in your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. And if you want notes or information about today's podcast, go to rachelklaver.com/podcast for more information.